Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football Dill Sunday morning. And boy, do we have a lot to talk about regarding this Michigan football team. We're Michigan fans. We're on Twitter with y'all. We're on the message boards. And it seems like Michigan fans, we're all over the place in terms of how to break down and unpack what we saw last night, how to interpret where this football team is in 2025. And look, I'll start. And I'm going to start on a positive note right quick. I was very critical of Grant Newsome last year at this time. This offensive line looked out of sorts. It was not close to the offensive line that we expect as Michigan fans. I fast forward to where we sit right now, this rushing attack with 3 redshirt freshmen starting on the offensive line. It's one of the most reliable and explosive rushing attacks we see in the country. You are clearly seeing this offensive line take monster steps as 2025 plays on. For me, that's what fires me up the most. And I'll say this, and this is some sicko behavior. I lay my head down at night and I start running through what this offensive line might look like in 2026. And boy, does it have the opportunity to be elite over the next couple of years. That's my biggest takeaway. Michigan has run the football when they've wanted the last couple of weeks. That's massive because that's what Michigan looks like when they're playing their best brand of football. Now, what everybody wants to talk about, I apologize. It took 90 seconds to get into what everybody wants to talk about. Everybody wants to talk about this passing attack, Bryce Underwood. I'll start with my take, and then I'll give you the tee box. And I want to invite, how about we just do this? To the Michigan fans, number one, we love you guys. The amount of support this fan base has shown the boys has been amazing, and I need the Michigan fans to let it fly in the comment section. Whether you agree with the boys, whether you disagree, that's the beauty of having this conversation. So let it rip. Appreciate you guys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And Dill, I'll start. I don't get why Michigan fans are pointing the finger at Chip Lindsey. I thought the throws were there last night. Yeah, I thought he had some stuff dialed up. What you saw in my interpretation after rewatching this game was a young and very talented quarterback that had throws that were there for him, and he missed them. And he turned the ball over twice in the red zone. It was a bad performance by Bryce Underwood, but I don't get how we point our finger at Chip Lindsey and talk about this Michigan offense because go look at the numbers. It is night and day different from what we saw from this Michigan offense back in 2024. To me, I know this is not great analysis. This is Bryce Underwood had a little bit of a bad night last night against Purdue.
And at least Bryce Underwood's bad. I did think he figured something out, and that was okay, I'm not exactly dialed throwing the ball. He was certainly as inaccurate, I think, as we've seen him all year. I was really impressed with what he was doing with his legs. I feel like you were, when we were watching it together, you're like, oh, he's too skittish. He's getting out. I thought, I don't know, he was making 10-yard plays with it. I'll take it. Again, I didn't exactly think he was totally dialed throwing the ball. I think that was a good kind of almost recalibration for him. All right, fine. I'm just going to get in my legs involved a little bit and I'm going to make some plays. And he did that. There were some crucial big plays he made on the ground that kind of kept things
and extended plays, getting himself out of trouble too. You saw some of the playmaking ability from this kid. And
I feel like he has been a little hesitant to use it at times. To me, yes. It's do it. You're a really good athlete. I didn't think he was dropping his eyes quickly and taking off immediately. Again, I don't think the passing attack was really humming last night. I thought it was a really good kind of make this work. All right, I'm not playing my best, but I'm going to make it work, and we're not going to just completely stall out. And Michigan didn't completely stall out. They moved the ball for the most part last night.
Yeah, I would have probably agree with that take too. Now, I will say one thing about how Chip Lindsey's calling the offense. And I went back and looked at the numbers this morning to kind of make sure I'm seeing it right. Want to see him go out of his way, especially when he has a young quarterback that's clearly not feeling it. Say, hey, we're going to dial some stuff up that can get you into a rhythm. That's not just bubble screens. Those bubble screens really have not been effective all year. We continue to try to use that as a method to get him a little bit more in rhythm. Play action. it's been effective. Here are the numbers. Last night, Bryce was here are the numbers. Last night, Bryce was not very good, but last night on play action dropbacks, which was only 28%, which to me is crime. When you run the football that well, you should be leaning into play action. When we went play action last night, 6 of 7 for 93 yards, 13.3 yards per attempt. Now, obviously, that period, right? On the season, Bryce Underwood off play action, 10.4 yards per pass attempt compared to 5.8 yards when he's not working off play action. Michigan has emerged as a dominant force running the football. You can use that to facilitate the passing attack. With how well Michigan's running the ball, would like to see Chip Lindsey lean into some play action a little bit more because Bryce Underwood is very clearly most comfortable when he's working off play action.
And again, I have no issue with like those sort of small picks at him. But again, at the end of the day, the offense, for as poorly as I think it was executed, especially in the passing attack, the drops obviously kind of still rearing their heads at times. Bryce Underwood not being clean, like putting up 400 yards is still like a really solid game, especially when you're playing a really kind of slow tempo that shortened that game quite a bit.
And Purdue had a drive that took up nearly the whole second quarter, if I recall, too. So I do agree with that. And that here's the one thing that I really think can take Michigan to the next level. And it's easy to just say this. It's a lot harder to go out and execute it. Still a little bit more rhythm, right? I love how explosive Michigan can be on offense. It's bailed us out plenty in 2025. Can we find a little bit more of a rhythm? Because I feel like this offense in general has shown the flashes of, whoa, we can move the football. And then it kind of gets into a little bit of a rut. Can we avoid those ruts a little bit more? Because you saw the ruts last night. You saw the ruts at time against USC. We were in a rut the whole game against Oklahoma back in September.
Even Michigan State, like you put up 31 points, but it felt like big swaths of that game were still that like,
agreed.
Oh, we're not getting any first downs. Like, at least can we get a first down?
Agreed.
But I didn't really get that feeling from last night, frankly. I thought again,
execution
for the most part, it was moving the ball. It was just not executing at a particularly high level.
Which, again, what I would stress is that this is not 2023 Michigan. It's not a bunch of 3-4 year veterans who played a ton of football. This is like a really, really young football team that is still trying to find that level of consistency. It's a damn. We're set almost 8 minutes in, and Jordan Marshall, man. And just a personal take real quick. We all knew Jordan Marshall was a really good running back. And Justice Haynes got a lot of the media attention, got a lot of the opportunities because, quite frankly, Justice Haynes was playing really damn well to begin the year. Jordan Marshall was just patient, man. Like, never knew he was a good football player, probably knew his opportunity was going to come. And when his number has been called, he has been the heartbeat of this Michigan offense. Again, he's only a redshirt freshman too. His ability to run behind his pads, that innate ability to keep Michigan on schedule, like turn that 2nd and 8 to a 2nd and 6, turn that 3rd and 5 into a 3rd and 2. Very similar. They're different running backs, but very similar to how Blake Corum was able to do it. I love it.
And again, it does start with the offensive line, like resetting
agreed.
the line of scrimmage pretty consistently. Like, again, even last year, like, I feel like Mullings could have been that guy possibly, but the offensive line played at a much lower level.
Yes.
I mean, they didn't consistently move guys around. I'm looking at the way like Frazier's playing Sprague. Yep. I don't think he had the greatest start to this year. He's really started to dial it in. Obviously, Guinera and Crippen have been monsters. Like, I just think the combination of having a running back who can run hard like that and now having an offensive line that's starting to move people, like that is the version of offense like that. I think Michigan – it looks really like that's like what I want to see. Again, like I think Michigan's ceiling's much higher right now because they do have moments where like the passing attack shows like some real life, like in that Washington game. But at least in the bare minimum, you have an offense that you can pretty much put the ball on and run.
The identity of this offense is their rushing attack. It's an offensive line that's really coming into their own with really talented running backs. But now we have that quarterback that can really allow Michigan to grab that next gear if we go out and execute and make the plays that I felt like were available most of the night last night. You are very much, and here's the other thing I want to shout out about the rushing attack is we've been very critical of the pass catchers in this offense when it comes to actually catching the football, and rightfully so. It's been downright bad. The block, it's not a coincidence that we're popping these runs for like 50 plus seemingly consistently every game. It's because you have these wide receivers blocking their tails off, these tight ends blocking their tails off at the second and third levels. And this offensive line, really athletic, man. Really good at finding hats at the second level, too. All right. Defense. Here's the thing with Michigan's defense is Purdue, I thought, executed decently. Like the thing that I love about Michigan's defense the last couple of weeks, we're not giving up explosive plays. Like, we're making you earn. If you want to go put points up, we're not going to give you those free points like we did against USC a couple of weeks ago. Purdue had one play that went for 20 plus yards. That play was only 20 yards. There was not a play that went for 21 plus yards all game. Made Purdue execute. They executed on some drives. I like the direction that Michigan's defense is going,
especially cobbling it together with like a really young crew. I mean, obviously you're brutalized linebacker room. I think you certainly see the impact of not having Jayshon Barham at the edge room, because that is like the issue. Like, when Michigan doesn't give up explosive plays and they can create the negative plays that they're able to make,
kill drives,
especially when Barham's out there, because Barham's just like a different animal. And Derek Moore, not take anything away from him, he's really been ripping up for the past couple of weeks.
Yep.
But that is like a really good recipe of defense. And again, without having some of your like key dogs, if you will, going, I thought Michigan's defense answered the call.
Yeah, Ernest Hausman.
He's
like just nails, man. Just absolute nails. And when Michigan needs some consistency on defense with all the injuries, Ernest Hausman's been that guy. Really good helping out the young backers too. I think at one time he took Chase Taylor like by the collar and put him where he needed to go pre-snap. This is like the beauty of having a guy that's played as much football as Ernest Hausman has and how good of a leader he is. I thought Troy Bowles was pretty active. I don't think he was like a massive impact, but I thought he was around the football a lot. I'll tell you one guy who I wouldn't mind seeing play a little bit more, especially as Rod Moore's kind of nursing that injury. Mason Curtis in the back end.
He's good.
The safety position at times has lacked consistency. Like Brandon Hillman does a lot of good things. There's also a decent amount of bad. I would say Jaden Mangum's, again, some good.
Probably his best game. I don't think he's had a particularly great year, but he was pretty good last night.
But Mason Curtis, look, do I think Mason Curtis is going to be a top 10 NFL draft pick? Is he a premier playmaker? No, probably not. But I feel like anytime his number's asked to go make a play, he's making the plays. And having reliable football players, it matters. And I feel like Mason Curtis is giving that to us in the back end of this defense.
Doesn't get beaten coverage. That was always, I feel like, the question. I feel like they can put him on guys, and like you don't see big issues in terms of him giving up a ton of space. I'm kind of with you. I really like the way he plays. I like the violence he plays with. I thought he had a really nice game, and probably what I'd say is the first like really consistent snaps he's gotten in most of his career. Like, I know we've seen him at times, but like we didn't really get to see him in a game, I wouldn't say, for the most part. Last night he was in, and he was in a lot. I
57 snaps. It's got to be by far the most this kid's ever played. He's another young cat, right? Redshirt. I don't think he redshirt. I think he played enough last year. He's a sophomore, second-year cat. Last thing I'll say, our best players when the moment was the biggest came up big. Demo killing 2 drives by himself. Rayshon Benny killing a drive by himself on that fourth down stop. And obviously Ernest Hausman was one of the best players on the field. That matters, right? Like, go back to that USC game. Who were our best players on the field? Our best players did not have an impact on the game. Against Purdue, they did, and you need that. Go back to like how Michigan beat Ohio State last year. Like, our best players, Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, they showed up. You need that if you want to go beat Ohio State in a couple of weeks. And I hate to do it, but we got to end it on a negative. And there's not really much to say besides like the special teams. It's not just Samaj returning punts, right? You have to look at special teams coach J.B. Brown, because I feel like we're just a net negative on special teams pretty damn consistently. Whether it's punt return, whether we're punting, whether it's on kick coverage, whether it's on kick return, and it feels inconsistent and it feels sloppy. Look, I don't think you can't make a change mid-season. That's probably something that when you're doing the end of the year evaluation, you probably got to look at that and say, we're giving up points and we're giving up value when our special teams units are on the football field. we'll see if we can get that fixed. Again, I think a lot of the things are fixable, but it's just like fits and starts. Still, I shouldn't have to say, I should be able to get up and go to the bathroom when we're getting a punt return. Can't. I'm at the edge of my seat because I just ain't sure what's going to happen. All right, we'll pause it there. Again, I'll wind this one down the same way we winded it down last Sunday, and that is it's a really young football team that is going to be inconsistent, frustratingly inconsistent at times. What's the final product going to look like? It is the big question. Just keep getting through, keep building momentum, keep getting better. I don't think this team can win a national championship, but I want to see them continue to build because I firmly believe in the next couple of years, Michigan's going to have that chance. And I think you can be critical of Sherrone Moore at times in terms of the lack of consistency. He might fall at the feet of the head ball coach too. And we'll have that conversation as we continue to get games under our belt. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. To the Michigan fans, let it fly in the comment section. Maybe a little bit of sunshine pumping, but I don't think so because we feel like at times, like when it's time to get critical, I was out after that USC game. And so let it fly. The boys a little too positive, a little too much maize and blue glasses. Y'all let us know. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later.